¿Ustedes me escuchan, muchachos?
Yes.
Sí, súper bien.
Okay, go ahead.
Hello everyone. Hola para todos. Soy Carlos Moncada, director comercial de Estudiar. Les doy la súper bienvenida a Expo Estudiar 2020. Súper felices de tenerlos de nuevo en esta segunda versión online de nuestra feria. A partir de este momento vamos a continuar y a comenzar, de hecho, con la agenda académica de nuestra feria. Hoy tenemos abriendo nuestra feria personas que están en nuestros corazones, que nos acompañan siempre que estamos en los eventos de varias universidades, y en este momento tenemos directamente a Juliana Botero. Juliana, hola, ¿cómo estás?
Hola, ¿cómo estás, Carlos? Muchas gracias por la invitación y estamos muy contentos de acompañarlos el día de hoy en esta gran feria.
Muy bien. ¿Tú nos puedes introducir, por favor, a nuestro invitado internacional?
Claro que
Muchachos,
sí.
vamos a hacer un cambio para quienes nos están viendo. Vamos a hacer un cambio a inglés porque nuestro invitado solo habla inglés. Si ustedes están viendo esta presentación y quieren que les profundicemos en lo que les está diciendo en español, por favor, métanse a la feria, métanse al stand de quien les vamos a hablar en este momento, que ya nos cuentas con qué universidad estamos, Juli. Se meten al stand y ahí habrá alguien de Expo Estudiar y de la universidad para responderles también en español. Así que adelante, Juli.
Listo. Bueno, muy buenos días para todos. Muchísimas gracias por estar con nosotros el día de hoy. Hoy vamos a hablarles de un tema supremamente interesante porque es una gran oportunidad para todos ustedes los que quieren estudiar negocios en Inglaterra. Ustedes saben que una de las áreas principales en Inglaterra es negocios, y conmigo se encuentra Reggie Ahmed. Él es el International Officer Pathways Officer para nosotros, pues para QA. Nosotros manejamos 4 universidades en Inglaterra y hoy particularmente les vamos a hablar de 2 universidades, de Northumbria University y University of Roehampton, porque les queremos contar de un programa que es muy, muy interesante, que es el International Year One, el que les va a permitir hacer su carrera profesional en negocios en solo 3 años y en Inglaterra. Y también van a poder aplicar a través de CSA y pues yo les voy a estar acompañando estos días de feria en el stand. Me pueden preguntar también cómo pueden hacer. De hecho, pues bueno, Reggie nos va a contar un poquito más sobre estas aplicaciones y obviamente más sobre el programa. Thanks so much, Reggie, for being with us today.
No worries.
Sorry for the Spanish introduction.
It's okay.
Tell us more about how's the weather in England. I think it's a really sunny day today.
Yeah, so hola everyone, ¿cómo estás? Yeah, my name is Reggie, as Julian has briefly mentioned. So yeah, in terms of the weather's been great. About 33 degrees, I would say. It was last Friday, and we had barbecue. Today it's good. I think this week it's going to be more. So hopefully this could be like the Colombian good luck. The weather comes from there, it continues. My cat's sunbathing in the garden, so yeah, I'm a bit jealous. But other than that, hope everyone finds this very informative and enjoys it.
Okay, thanks so much, Reggie. As I said, thanks so much for being with us today. And okay, it's all yours.
Okay, cool. So I'm just going to share the screen quickly. Bear with me for one moment. There we go. Share the screen. So, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah, perfect. So if I just great. So international year one. Obviously, with QA, we look after the pathway programs for your Northumbria, your Roehampton, and your Solent. International year one is actually also a very popular option, and we've seen a lot of interest coming from the Latin America region. It allows students to not only bridge the gap. So whereas for if I was to come study in Latin America, in Colombia, I would need a pathway program just to adjust. Hence why we have something like this built. We've noticed students get better grades in their degree once they go on a pathway program. We notice students actually complete the whole program once they come on a program like this. Because what the pathway program does is it allows students to come settle in. I've met students from Colombia, Chile, Venezuela, and it could be very, to us, it might seem like a small issue, but until you're in that position, you don't realize, how it affects you. So something like the weather, the change in weather will affect anyone. The change in scenarios, the change in the settings, especially when you was with your family maybe, or you was with different people, you've now come to the UK and you have to be a bit more independent. It takes time to adjust. And you can imagine when you drop the student into year one, they're literally in the deep end straight away. So you can imagine they're just, going to struggle. It's going to take time to adjust. Whereas the pathway programs, such as the IFP, which is the International Foundation Program, and the International Year One, and these allow students to get used to the facilities because they will be on the main campus. They get used to the tutors. They get used to the resources. They get used to the surroundings. So even if you maybe struggle with maybe the English or maybe the whole environment, it doesn't penalize you. Whereas in year one, year two, in your degree, you might be penalized in a sense where, your retakes are capped. And then in year two, you're straight away, the grade counts towards your final degree grade. In IFP and international year one, this doesn't happen. Our pass mark is only 40%. And it's set at that because we understand when you come straight away, even we've seen top students with flying, results come and they've taken time to adjust. So we understand this, and we don't want to penalize the student because it wouldn't be the best experience. We know some universities do this, but we don't feel like this is the best way. And now we've had students say thank you for this. We've had students come from international students are now become student ambassadors, student reps, and they've shared their experience, and they've mentioned that if it wasn't for this, they probably would have dropped out of university if they went straight into year one, because it was too much to take at once. So that's why we've built this. Now, if just to summarize quickly, a normal degree program would be your 3 years. So you do your year one, year two, year three. And this is what a normal UK student does. They will literally finish college or whatever, and they'll go to year one, two, and three. Now, based on converting your results from Latin America to the UK, you might be actually on this part of college. So you basically need that 1 year of adjustment just to sort of get up to the UK standard. That's where these pathway programs come in. Sometimes we have students who maybe have a lower English score, or they don't have the academic results. So that's when they start on something called the IFP program. And that's basically they do IFP, then they do year one, year two, year three, and then they finish. Whereas the international year one, what it does is it merges your IFP and your year one together. So you don't have to do 4 years anymore. You can actually do 3 years. So you do your international year one. As I mentioned, the pathway program and year one is merged together. You then go on to year two and year three as normal. So our international year one partners at the moment we have is Roehampton and Northumbria. So Northumbria in Newcastle and Roehampton University in West London. So why the UK? In terms of, other than being one of the pioneers in education and the different employment opportunities, where our proof is within what we actually do. So best examples are my colleagues. You know, we have colleagues all around the world. I'm based in the UK. I work for a UK company. I have Juliana, who's based in Latin America. I have Magda, Maria, who are based in the UK. Whereas when I've come across people who are working for companies in different countries, you don't get that sort of diversity. Very rarely, you might have one rep for the whole of Latin America or one person. And then, you know, it's easier for them because it's one, they speak one language. But whereas the UK, we diversify. Every company I've worked for, every time I've gone to study, I've met people from Colombia, Venezuela. I knew that from before. So when I got the job, it was quite funny because, you know, I'm sitting next to Magda and Maria and speaking to Juliana, and I already had Medellin in my mind and Bogota. So it's things like this. So when someone from Latin America comes over to the UK, the adjustment is a lot easier because you're not seen as weird. You're not seen as totally different. You're coming to an environment where people are aware of the Colombian, aware of the culture. If you look at reggaeton now, even that as a perfect example, it's taken the UK by storm. So you want to go somewhere where you know you would make a difference, but at the same time would also fit in. And I feel like the UK is the perfect market for your Latin American students. And what happens is, I know a lot of students ask me about work. So when they want to come, so they say, look, I want to go somewhere where, you know, I'm going to be easy for me to settle in. People will be very helpful and I can find jobs. The amount of jobs available for Spanish-speaking students, for international students, it's always on the rise because you got to remember it's a benefit for a company. If I was to own a local, you know, maybe a supermarket or an office, and I want to hire a Spanish-speaking person, I'll have to either find someone from the UK who studied Spanish, and because they're very unique, it's going to cost me a lot more. Or I can hire an international student who maybe can only work 20 hours a week, but that would be enough for my company because I would save the money of spending so much on a salary. I can just pay them for 20 hours a week, and that's what they're legally allowed to work. Also remember that if your program, your actual study program involves work experience, that does not deduct from the number of hours you're allowed to work. So I know in some instances where you might be studying a program with us at Northumbria or Roehampton, and your actual course has maybe one module of maybe doing work experience or studying, or maybe, you know, they have a partnership with a company, as our partners always do have with big brands. This does not deduct from your 20 hours. So once you've finished studying, or afterwards when you finish university that day or the weekend, you're allowed to go and work for 20 hours to help yourself study, to fund your studies and fund your accommodation, whatever it might be. When you're out of term, when it's the holiday or weekend, you're actually allowed to work more than the 20 hours because you're not studying during that time. It's only whilst you're studying, it's limited to 20 hours. And now, as much as you might have heard, two things have happened. Obviously, you might have been aware of Brexit. What Brexit has now done is it's allowed the UK to focus its attention elsewhere, open up more doors, open up more opportunities, and more innovation, more, you know, opportunities for not non-European sort of market. So you're looking at your Latin American market, your Middle East market, your American market. And that's what we've noticed. You know, I myself work alongside Magda, Juliana, and Maria within the Latin American market, and I've noticed the number of students inquiring, the number of, you know, from when I was here last year to this year, I've probably spoken to more Latin American students this year alone than I have last year. It's because people are more excited, people are more aware, they've done their research, they've seen, okay, if the UK is now put in post-study work visa, which means once I graduate, I can then stay for another 2 years and look for a job. I can maybe find a job, and then that company might even extend my visa and, you know, offer me permanent stay afterwards, whatever the scenario might be. And this is what's very exciting, because I learn from students like that. So when I hear a Latin American student, I'm speaking to them and they're telling me, yeah, I want to come to the UK because of the opportunities X, Y, Z. And this is what's sort of great about the UK. And I think once you do your research as well, you'd see why such a market. So as I mentioned, the Northumbria University is based in northeast of England. Roehampton here is based in the capital city in London, not far from Heathrow Airport. Whichever one you go for, we do have certain periods where they do arrange airport pickups, which is available as well. There's accommodation available on campus and nearby as well. So based on your criteria, your preference, your taste, we do have those available. So as I was describing earlier, your normal degree would be your 3 years. And some students might be a bit younger, or maybe they might have missed out on English or lower mark on English or the academics. They usually start from this. So this will be your step 1. You then go to step 2, then step 3 and step 4, and that's where you graduate. So as I mentioned, the international year 1 is basically this and this merged together, and you now have international year 1. So you actually do your degree in the same time frame as a UK student would, and you don't get penalized. So bear in mind this one, you only need 40% to progress onto the following years. So this shows that we still allow you that adjustment period to basically, like I said earlier, to get used to everything, get used to the facilities and the course. Because sometimes, for example, when I was in my high school, when I moved to college and when I moved to university, the learning method was different. You know, I was still in the UK. I didn't go to another country. So imagine if it's different going from high school to college to university, imagine how different it would be going to another country. And that's what this is. We call it like a grace period, like a gelling period, we call it. So it allows you to just adjust yourself and find your bearings. The program, what's great is upon applying, I know with the whole situation you've had with your whole IELTS and UKVI, applying for English tests, the whole COVID situation. I've been speaking to students in Colombia and Chile, Venezuela, and they've mentioned how it's not easy for them to book a test because the centers are closed or whatever that might be. Our test, we actually have our own QA English test, which is free. You do not have to pay anything for it. You just literally, once you've applied, you just literally fill in the link and we will register you for a test. You can use this test to then come onto our program. So you don't need to do that extra test that universities make you students usually do, like the UKVI, because our test is actually recognized by the government, recognized by visa offices. And you would obviously need to get the minimum requirement, which is like 5.5, 5.5, obviously, and we can go into that in more detail once you apply. Once you've achieved this score in our free English test, this will give you a visa for the whole period that you're here. So sometimes you might get a visa which only gives you the CAS for that 1 year, but our one will give you the visa, the CAS for the whole time period. So you don't have to constantly renew every year. So we'll go to Northumbria University. Northumbria University, year on year, I've very few unis I've come across in the UK that spend so much back into the university. They just reinvest. So you can imagine you're paying a good amount of fees to come study at, these sort of pioneers in education. You'd think, what am I getting for what am I paying? This is one of the few partners I've witnessed myself firsthand that they just constantly reinvest. New sports facilities, new theaters, new computer labs, new, cafeterias, accommodation, whatever it might be, they're always updating. They've got state-of-the-art library, multiple floors, thousands of books, thousands of ebooks, 24-hour access. So you can imagine it's there. They've actually, when it comes to safety, they've actually got this app where, let's just say you're there 24 hours, you're maybe there 3 a.m. in the morning, there's not many students around. You can actually log on to this app where you just press the button and it notifies the security on campus that you're there. So just, as security maybe are going around and they need to do their checks, it makes them extra vigilant and extra aware because they might realize, oh, okay, so we have Juliana who's in room 103. So they'll come and check up and say, how are you, Juliana? Is everything okay? Are you safe? Yeah, no problem. So this is, you can imagine the level of innovation and resources that's been built into this university, and Northumbria has something like this. And as you can see, being a top 400 university around the world, #1 for UK graduate startup. And when this says UK for graduate startups, this doesn't mean just British students. It also is students from Latin America, Africa, Asia, all around the world. You've got, so many accreditations just to sort of go by top 15 research, voted top UK Young University and Global Rankings. The list goes on. Bear in mind, if we was to carry on, it would knock next up. There'll be so many awards. But the motto this university follows is take on tomorrow. So literally, they don't want to just prepare you at university for the name. They want to prepare you with something that has value tomorrow. There's no point of going to a university or studying a course which is worth maybe whatever you're paying today, and tomorrow there's no value. But the University of Northumbria, they do the opposite. They say, no, we need to create value. We need to create tomorrow's leaders. We need to create tomorrow's employees of the year. We need to create these top entrepreneurs, these top, whatever you might be, engineers. And this is what Northumbria specializes in. Now, one of the most famous alumni at Northumbria University is Sir Jonathan Ive. So obviously I've not been to, I've only been to Mexico. I've actually not been to Colombia yet, but I don't know what the sort of demand is or what type of phones are. But Apple is a household name. Pretty much everyone knows this brand. The head designer, the chief design officer for these products. I'm talking about the man who designed your iPhones, your iPods, your iMacs, your iPads, your iTouch, your the old Macintosh, everything you can see here. This guy was the chief designer, and his name is Sir Jonathan Ive. And it shows a big difference when him and Steve Jobs was together, when Steve Jobs obviously passed away, and now Jonathan Ive is obviously slowly leaving the company. You can see how, there's been so much, thinking like, what's happening with Apple? Is it still going to be the same? Is it? And, this is someone who's consistently back on back provided something. So, now imagine tomorrow's Sir Jonathan Ive could be watching this now. Tomorrow's Jonathan Ive could be based in Colombia, could be based in Chile, Venezuela, could be wherever. And this is the type of institute that provides you the platform. Like I said, they're not a university that's just going to give you your certificate and says goodbye back to Medellin or Bogota. But this is an institution which says, we want this student to succeed. So tomorrow, whenever they become famous, we can say we built that person, we helped provide them where they are today. And this is where the university gets the recognition from. Because at the end of the day, if you're not producing people like Jonathan Ive, then really and truly, what is the university doing? And this is literally one of the pioneers. To think $1 trillion company, to think of the record sales every time they launch a product. This gentleman here was the one who designed it. He even designed the actual interface. So you're looking at the actual interface of the programs. Now you look at many products, companies similarly have copied and now made something similar. But to think of someone who led a $1 trillion company like that, not many universities can actually say they have someone like this, and that's Northumbria University for you. So now the Northumbria University, as I mentioned, North East England, Newcastle, the international year one. The international year one limits you to business type of courses. So you've got your business tourism, logistics, human resources, entrepreneurship. There's a wide variety of different courses available. So what happens is, if you was to start from foundation, IFP, then obviously you open yourself up to more courses like engineering, sciences. But if you're a bit older, if you're more determined, you say, no, I want to do like a business related course, or I want to do international year one, I want to do it in 3 years, or whatever everyone has their own circumstances or preferences. If you was to go for international year one, you can progress to one of these courses. These will be your entry requirements. And as I mentioned earlier, if you receive the 5.5 with nothing less than 5, you obviously will eligible for your IELTS or UKVI. If not, you have the option of doing the free English test, and you can score that to secure a joint CAS as well. Our current start dates, you can see, is October. So if you are interested, it's a good idea to get your applications in as soon as possible. We have a dedicated team who look after accommodation. A dedicated team who look after your CAS and visa process. We have a dedicated team who literally helps you with any queries that you might have. And that's why it's quite handy. Rather than having one person you're trying to get hold of and they're so busy, they're dealing with so many students, we actually have multiple departments, multiple students, and we sort of all work very well together. So, once you finish with myself, I'll pass you over to someone who's experienced in maybe visa or accommodation, and they can assist you best rather than me trying to find everything out and trying to answer your question without having the full knowledge. You've got the minimum age there mentioned as well, and your starts for January. So These are the type of modules you can look forward to. You've got your English for university studies. You've got your markets and customers, work psychology, business investigation for decision making. Now, I've noticed a lot of Latin American students, they're very, very cautious in terms of the modules, not just the title of the degree, which is great as well. So if there is a particular area, so sometimes I say to keep your options as wide as possible. You don't want to limit yourself to one area. So if you want to just learn maybe about, let's just say, business investigation or decision making, you don't need to do a degree on this. You can actually do a degree in another field or this field, similar field, and you can do this as a module. So you can actually then put it on your CV, because at the end of the day, employers want a degree, experience, and skills. You don't have to just try to put all of them in one degree, because at the end of the day, it will just be a degree. It won't let you eliminate the other requirements. So that could be something to look into. Also, another thing I would mention is if your chosen degree might not have the exact module that you're after, or maybe a certain element that you want to do, please get in contact with us, because our parent company is the biggest digital online learning, classroom learning, and digital learning provider in the UK. So they train the government, they train a lot of big companies, hence why the network of resources we have. So don't just think, oh, this degree does not have my module, I don't want to do it. Pick it and see what other options you have, because we might even be able to get you a discount on a course, like a course that you could do online. So you don't want to sort of eliminate a degree choice just because it didn't have a certain module you have. Instead, you could do this degree, you can possibly get a discount on a professional qualification or a course, which you could do in your spare time. This would add value. So you would actually have two things rather than having one thing. So that's something to think about. And that's something where the best way to describe it is like a student may be studying accounting. So you have your chartered accountancy, ACCA, CIMA. So if it doesn't have certain modules in your degree, if you're going to do ACCA, CIMA, professional qualification alongside it, then it doesn't matter. So there's no need for you to look for it in the degree when you're going to have a professional qualification alongside it, which is very useful. And I think me personally, my experience with having worked with FTSE 100 companies, they look for degree, qualifications, experience, and skill sets. So, try to keep yourself as wide as possible. Don't limit yourself. That would be my 2 pence of advice. So your international year one, as you can see, based on your IELTS, it determines the sort of programs you can go onto. So your sort of October, December start times with your 12-month, 9-month options. So if you secure the 5.5 as I mentioned earlier, that would allow you to get onto the 9-month program. If you get the 5.55 in the UKVI IELTS, not the QA English, this is for the UKVI IELTS, then you can obviously do the 12-month program here or this one here. And obviously you can see your summer break and when you start your following years. So that's that. Type of accommodation available. This was, I think, my colleague Juliana took this from the website very recently. So you can see it says fully booked. So you can see that they're quite popular. These ones are a lot bigger, so they have a lot more rooms available, hence why they're available right now. So if you do want to apply for one of these, do apply as soon as possible. The quicker you apply, the quicker you're on our system, the quicker we can get our accommodation team to assist you with this stage. Now, going over to Roehampton. So I know I've mentioned quite a bit about Northumbria. Some of you might be thinking you want to apply to Northumbria. It's great, but I would say also, like I said, keep your options open. You can apply to both. We have another option, which is Roehampton University in London. So it could be any reason. It could be that you want to go to somewhere where you want to be based in the capital city. Bear in mind, Northumbria is in Newcastle. So being outside London, you can imagine that the accommodation can be slightly cheaper. Your living expense might be slightly cheaper because it's outside of London. But then obviously in London, Roehampton University has its benefits as well. Being in the capital, you're close to the hub of commercial districts, your fashion districts, your business districts, your, law, anything you could think of. It's obviously London is very known for that. So your end of the day, I know some of you might think it's a bit more expensive or the accommodation, but you're actually getting value for your money end of the day. You're not just paying extra for your accommodation or living expense for a reason. End of the day, I live in London, Magda lives in London, Maria lives in London. We sort of have to pay that high living expense because we know there's more opportunities here or there's better opportunities here. So you've got Roehampton University, the 6th top university in London for marketing. It goes on, ranked as the top university in London for education. That's quite funny because when I go to Roehampton, or when I've spoken to people, a lot of people have studied at Roehampton in the UK so they can become teachers, they can become maybe lecturers or whatever they might want to be. A lot of them actually have ended up at it because they've got a very good education department, studies department. They're very good for dance, very good for drama. They're very good at your sort of discipline subjects. They try to shy away from your exotic subjects, as I might call it, and stick to the subjects that they're good at. And this is the type of programs they have. So your linguistics, your dramas. And they've also spent, like Northumbria, they've spent a huge amount on new facilities. The last 2 to 3 times I went there, all I saw was construction. So it's going to be students like yourself that benefit because I think a lot of the new facilities and buildings are opening this September. So it's quite funny. I myself are going to see the new facilities for this September, as some of you who would apply. So yeah, it's quite cool. They've got brand new facilities. Roehampton's actually one of the few universities, I think the only, don't quote me, but it might be the only university with a massive Greenland campus in London. You can imagine London being the capital. It doesn't, you've got a lot of high-rise tall buildings. So a lot of universities in London have tall buildings, or there might be multiple buildings all next to each other. Roehampton University is a massive campus, Greenland campus. So you'd actually walk through nature when you go to your lectures. That's one of the sort of things that I've seen a lot of students, even Latin American students, have told me. They're saying, you know what, I love how between lectures I can go and relax in this forest and there's a massive lake. I can sit here, listen to my music, listen to my reggaeton, or just literally just call my mom, my dad, whoever it might be. And it just lets you mentally get into that zone. And I don't know if that's why they've done it, but it's very strategic because I find it soothing. I find it very therapeutic, and you can understand the stress of being a student, your exams, your assignments. There's so many influences. Being in maybe somewhere where there's so many things happening at once, you leave your lecture and there's so many cars, buses, and so much going on, people calling you. But when it's like a more relaxed, peaceful environment, that could be something that appeals to some students, and this is pretty much what Roehampton offers. You've got state-of-the-art accommodation, you've got state-of-the-art libraries, amazing facilities, which are all brand new built, as I mentioned. So you could, start your day here in the Michaelis building, and maybe you've walked through the forest and the lake, maybe taken a selfie or two, gone to your lecture here, gone to the library. Maybe then you can again go to the gym. There's so many different opportunities available and all within this compound. So you don't actually have to leave the campus. If you did want to, then it's very close to everything. And this is like a bird's eye view. So this was the brand new facility that I mentioned. You can see these are very futuristic designs here. So the university has a blend. It has the old listed buildings here. People actually have their weddings there. So they can have their wedding here, take pictures in the background, very beautiful old listed buildings. However, the inside's been renovated. So the inside looks like 21st century. Outside looks like these very, classical, but very, well kept, nicely maintained facilities. And that's pretty much the impression they've gone for. So when you go through the forest, as I mentioned, the lake, you then end up here, which is the brand new library. Again, another lake here as well. And you can see, give it 10 years, this building would still look or would still be modern. And this is the type of look they've gone for. If you think about buildings in 10 years time and they were to look like this is us right now. So this is us ahead of time. And the type of courses and modules available: business data analytics, business psychology, accounting, finance, and global economy. Sure. And as you can see, the following courses, you can see some of them are slightly different, slightly similar, some of them slightly different to the ones offered at Northumbria. But again, these are the options available. And you've got your October, January starts, you've got your high school. What I would say is we do say case by case basis. So if you do have whatever your grades might be, still inquire, don't shy away, just literally submit your app and we can then look at it and speak to admissions. And because of the relationship we have with, Carlos and Gloria, we know the type of quality of students that are, fed through to us. So we can always speak to admissions. We can't guarantee anything if it's very low, but at the end of the day, it's always worth a try. End of the day, when there's a will, there's a way. And these are the different accommodations available and prices range. You've got your self-catered options. You've got lunch voucher options as well. So if your parents want to top up your like a voucher system or a credit system, you can use that to go pay for your lunches on campus. But I like to say, keep your options open. Again, sometimes you might not want to eat on campus, you might want to eat off campus. So yeah, try to go out and explore the world, go and, maybe build network with people and, find other places and things like this. You'll be surprised. I've heard of stories where people have gone for lunch somewhere and they've secured a job just by sitting next to someone or speaking to someone. The other thing I would mention before we go on to the scholarships element is our classes are very limited sizes. So we try to, we was actually practicing social distancing before COVID, so which is quite interesting. We've always had small classes in terms of the small seminar classes. And what we've now had to do is we've now made the classes even smaller just to comply with government regulations. So it's kind of something that we was doing from before. That's why, you wouldn't really hear in the news or much has been said about maybe our students catching COVID and stuff like that, the confidence, hence why we've had a record number of applications and interest in our courses, because you can imagine students come over, they've had a good experience, they've called back and they've told their friends this university was safe, this student was very welcoming, hence why we've now got loads more students inquiring to come, and hopefully you will do the same as well. And that goes for both Northumbria and Roehampton. You can imagine even in lecture theatres, we're going to follow government regulations and guidance all regarding social distancing. Now, these scholarships opportunities, there are different options available. We do have a criteria where we would look at your personal statement, your high school grades, and your score for the English, whether you do the free QA English or whether you do the UK VI IELTS. Once we see those three, we can push forward for a scholarship. And believe me, some students that submitted an application did not even expect to get a scholarship, and we looked at it and we said this student deserves a scholarship, and they were just very thankful. So again, you can understand we don't have unlimited budget or unlimited funds. So my advice would be the earlier you apply, the sooner you apply, the more likely you are to receive the scholarships. So yeah, if you are interested, I would say submit your apps, your documents, your personal statement, your grades, whatever you might have, and mention that you're interested in a scholarship, and we would basically push for that. Now, just to give you an idea how our scholarship percentages work is, if you are awarded, let's just say a 25% scholarship at Roehampton in London, you would receive 25% of your international year 1, your progression, your year 2, and year 3. So until you graduate, you will have this lifetime sort of scholarship, as some might call it. So you receive 25% each year. For Northumbria University, it's a bit slightly different. You get 30%, up to, let's just say you get 30% off in your international year 1. You can then go to your second year and third year and receive £1,500 off, £1,500 off. So every year you will receive some form of scholarship one way or another. So it can help you, because if you have the idea the total fees is this amount, and you're budgeting for that amount, like saying, yep, I need to make sure I keep that amount aside, you know that you're always going to be in the positive, you're always going to be in the green, because you're not actually going to pay that amount. You're always going to pay less, because your scholarship will bring it 30% down, or the following year would bring it 1,500 or 1,500 down. So then at the end, you might realize you actually have budgeted so well that you actually have extra money left over. You could then maybe use that on a holiday or wherever you might want to use it on. So yeah, that's quite handy. Now, so I think regarding this is literally our process. So if you fill in the application form, you mention the type of course you're interested in, your email address needs to be in there. Make sure that any issues, if you don't fill it in properly, then obviously it means more delays later on down the line. So you want to get it right first time. Get your documents, passport copy, your transcripts, CV, your certificates, your CAS numbers, everything. So it comes in a process. So myself, Juliana, Magda, Maria will all be here along this process, and my colleague Nizrina as well. And then obviously wherever it's English test, and then you get to the final stage. You've applied, and you're pretty much just waiting for your offer. This is the student journey. What I'll do is, I think if any of the students request some of this, maybe Juliana, we can provide it at a later stage, because I think going through this will become quite for everyone to sleep. But yeah, you've got your step ones, you've got your multiple steps. To be honest, a lot of these steps you'd notice they actually are together, but we've separated it, so it's a lot more easier for you to understand. And once you've got to this stage, welcome to the UK. So other than that, I'd like to say thank you for listening today, and look forward to welcoming you on board. Gracias.
Thanks so much, Reggie, for being with us today and for giving us this information about this special program that we have.
Yes. Thank you, Reggie. Thank you very much. We have some questions here. We'll have like 5-10 minutes for questions. So there's one question coming from Philippe. I am interested in doing or pursuing an administration career in England. I mean, to study management. Which of both universities do you recommend best, and why?
Sorry, what was the course, Carlos? The course?
Management, business.
Business management. Well, both, if it's business management, if I'm honest with you, both universities offer business management. Some of them might be very similar. Which one would I pick? It varies. It depends on a few factors. So maybe what their end goal is, what type of, maybe it could be their budget. It could also be based on what type of environment they're after. As I've mentioned, you've seen Roehampton's campus is a lot more different to Northumbria's campus. Northumbria is actually a city campus, whereas Roehampton is in the city, but it's in a Greenland campus. So there's a few factors. There's no issue applying to both, and maybe along the line speaking to us, and we can then offer more advice on which one to go for in the end. There's no harm in that. But again, it's a various factors, such as your budget, your preference in terms of location, it could be, I don't know, maybe a type of sector. There's so many factors. I personally wouldn't be able to pick between one or the other. Hence why you can see I've tried to spend equal amount of time on both of them. But my advice is apply to both. More than welcome to email myself, Juliana, via Carlos or Gloria, whoever, and we can answer any questions. So then eventually, if they've got both offers, hopefully before CAS stage, they've decided, yes, I'm going to go for this partner. Hope that helps. Yeah.
Okay. Another question is, I'm reading here. I don't know if this question is for you or for Juliana. I don't know, Juli, if you want to answer, or Reggie. Which jobs do most often students have while studying, being obviously international students? And what would be the average salary they would get in London?
So if I'm honest with you, you're not limited to the type of job you can go for. You'll be very surprised. So I learned this from when I was 16. I was working for an international company, and I was working on a very basic job, but I saw these Spanish students. They were like, when I was speaking to them, they were only in university, but they were getting paid triple what I was getting paid at the time, because the demand was so high for Spanish speaking person at the time, or wherever it might be. Now, the type of job, you're not limited. You can apply for, I've seen students get into retail. I've seen students get into admin. I've seen students get into maybe your leisure industry. I've seen students get into, you know, your corporate as well. Bear in mind, you're seen as an asset, especially in the UK. You know, I can speak English, and someone who speaks fluent Spanish or natural Spanish, you know, that in itself is a skill set. You might have other skill sets. You might be very good as business-wise, you know, admin-wise, wherever it might be. So I don't want to just say to you, yeah, you're going to come here and you're going to work in the office. You know, you might be. I've seen football coaches as well. I know someone who studied business management, but he was doing football coaching. The minimum wage in the UK, it varies again, but especially in London now, I very rarely come across anyone earning less than sort of your £10, let's just say, for the most basic jobs. I wouldn't, you know, maybe a bit less, £8-9, but I personally haven't come across anyone less than that. And good examples of jobs, whether it's part-time, full-time, is one of my colleagues, Maria. Maria was actually an ex-student of ours, so she actually studied with us. She went to Northumbria University. She finished the program, and then she said, she did the, something called an AP advanced program. Our company saw the skill set that Maria brings, not just the fact that she can speak Spanish, but the fact that she has good, work ethic, the way she is as a person. Our company's hired her, and now she's actually been in the UK. I think it's going to be coming up to 2 years. I'm not sure, but yeah. So you can see the opportunities are endless. Don't just limit yourself. Some students I've come across from, let's just say, Latin America, what they've done is they might have come here and they're studying business with marketing. They've been offered jobs that pay them a bit more, but they've purposely gone for the one lower just because it matches their experience for the career they want to get into or based on their degree. So it could be anything. I've seen average salaries once you've graduated be 25,000, 30,000, 35,000. So, if you convert that to dollars, it was 1.5, whatever it might be now, I don't know. But yeah, the opportunities, don't limit yourself. There's so many different sectors and students do everything. Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted before asking you some more questions. I just want to show everyone your stand and how you get there. So I'm gonna share my screen right now.
I think, yeah.
Ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So here you will find the platform and Warfare, and you can do many things here. So, for example, you could go to Educación Superior. Voy a hacer esto en español, mejor me están recomendando aquí en el chat. Esta es la forma como entramos al chat de Northumbria y de las otras universidades que están con ellos. Básicamente podemos entrar desde acá, desde estas opciones donde dice educación superior, idiomas y high school, instituciones o charlas. Para las charlas me pude haber metido por acá. Yo puedo entrar por acá o puedo entrar por acá por pabellones y escoger cualquiera de los pabellones. En este caso vamos a utilizar educación superior porque vamos a ir a Northumbria y podemos hacer un filtro. El filtro, voy a minimizar el chat, el filtro lo puedo hacer, por ejemplo, si lo quiero hacer en algún idioma o lo quiero hacer en algún destino, en este caso sería Inglaterra, y después le dan filtrar y funciona. Pero acá simplemente vamos a buscarla, es muy fácil, encontramos Northumbria University, le damos clic y ya nos aparece. ¿Qué podemos hacer aquí? Y es muy importante que todos nos vean lo que estamos haciendo, y es, aquí puedo mirar todas estas imágenes, toda la información, puedo descargar documentos que la universidad ha subido para mi información, puedo hablar con el representante. Si yo le voy a hablar con el representante, aquí le voy a decir, hola Juliana. Y Juliana, la representante de la universidad, nos va a responder. Vamos a minimizarlo, pero también hay un aporte muy importante que es la trivia. En la trivia van a encontrar algunas preguntas. Esa trivia es para que ustedes entren a todos los stands. Quien acumule más puntos con la trivia positivos, el sistema diariamente nos va a dar un ganador. Recuerden que la feria está 4, 5 y 6. Nos va a dar un ganador el sistema diariamente, y al final de la feria así hayas ganado primero, segundo, tercer día, te puedes ganar el premio final de la feria si tienes más puntos, ¿ok? Así que aquí podemos hacerlo, contactos para contactar al representante o a alguien de Estudiar. Recuerden que Estudiar es la agencia que está soportando la feria y que estamos con ustedes en cualquier momento, les podemos dar información de precios, de costos, de procedimientos, temas de visas, etc. Ahora, now Reggie, I'm switching again to English. Someone is asking, Julian is asking that if he can extend the visa while in England.
¿Ella está ahora ya? What, is she now
Yes,
there? Or?
she's now there. Yeah, no, Julian, yes. She's
Julian.
now, he's now there. Yeah, Julian. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, voy a responder en español estas preguntas. Sorry, Reggie, I'm going to answer in Spanish. Sí, pues ahora los estudiantes, por el tema pues del COVID-19, están dejando que los estudiantes se extiendan desde allá, siempre y cuando el curso que van a aplicar es de un nivel mayor. Es decir, si ella, por ejemplo, él estaba estudiando inglés, pues no puede extender su visa para hacer otro curso de inglés. Tiene que hacer un programa de educación superior, sea Bachelor, International Year One o puede ser una maestría. Ahí tocaría ver pues qué está haciendo él allá. También los estudiantes que tienen visa de turismo pues lo pueden hacer, pues lo sé porque tengo un caso particular de una persona, entonces por eso lo sé, pero obviamente pues esta persona va a hacer una maestría, entonces también hay que ver el tipo de programa al que va a aplicar. Con eso hay que tener también mucho cuidado. Ahora a los estudiantes les dieron automáticamente hasta el 31 de agosto como extensión de visa, pues mientras se soluciona la situación en cada uno de los problemas en Latinoamérica.
Muy bien. Nos dice el estudiante que, no, que realmente no está en Inglaterra, pero que pues cuando ya vaya a hacer la carrera que lo puede extender, o sea que aplica perfectamente lo que estás diciendo.
Ok. Bueno, esa pregunta es muy buena porque igual el estudiante va a tener un CAS. El CAS es la carta que da la universidad para poder tramitar su visa, y ese CAS con este programa, el International Year One, va a ser por los 3 años de la carrera. Entonces va a ser mucho mejor porque no va a tener que extender allá ni hacer ningún otro proceso porque ya su visa va a venir completa por los 3 años.
Perfecto, muy bien. Me hacen otra pregunta en inglés. Dice, I am a professional soccer player and I want to study something related to my sport. Where can you recommend that?
That's good, Reggie.
Yeah. So yeah. If I love football, so yeah, that's a good.
Yeah, that probably will be a question for you. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's interesting. We have quite a few different options, and we're sort of very specialists in those fields. So, where do I start? Okay. So, Northumbria University, first of all, are in the UK top ranked when it comes to sports. When it comes to basketball, we're like number one. We've got ex-NBA coaches. When it comes to football, we're top 3. So soccer, we're top 3 in the UK. So we've actually had our own professional / semi-professional football team, which was played in Set 5. So you've got your Premiership, Championship, Division 1, 2, 3, 4. We were playing there. So you can imagine, you know, we were like 5 years away from being in the Premiership, playing with your top world-class players. But if they want to play football, I would say Northumbria is a great option. However, if you want to study a football-related subject, then we actually have opportunities available at Solent University in Southampton. We actually have a degree which is actually football studies. Now, where have students gone on to after? It might be the next question. We've had students go on to Premier League clubs, Championship clubs. So you're talking, we've actually got graduates, I think it's 100% in the top 3 divisions within the UK. So every graduate that studied football studies, sports management with us, 100% of them are in one of the teams in the top 3 divisions. So you could be Man United, it could be Chelsea, it could be whoever. And basically, yeah. So football studies, what I'd say is contact us and we can give you a list. Solent University would be a good option because they also have very close ties with Southampton Football Club, which is a Premiership football club. And Northumbria has close ties with Newcastle. But again, depends on your budget, depends on your preferences. And another good thing is if you are a professional player, if you are playing at a high level, so I think you have to be at least national level. So you could be in your under 18, 17s for Colombia or Latin America country that you are in. You actually can get extra scholarship. So that's actually quite interesting as well. So yeah.
Okay, very nice. Actually, Reggie, we have a student in Estudiar that is actually going to study that in Solent, right, Julie? Fernando.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Very good. So, thank you very much, Reggie. Thank you very much, Juliana. Muchachos y todos los que nos acompañaron, muchísimas gracias. Gracias, Reggie. Gracias, Juli. Y solo queremos recordarle que sigan explorando nuestra feria. Entren al stand de Northumbria y estará Juliana para responder sus preguntas. Estará todo el equipo de Estudiar también para hacerles todo pues, lo que necesiten en dudas, cotizaciones, etcétera. Les recuerdo el tema de la trivia, los premios que vamos a dar hoy y los beneficios que estamos dando a todos los estudiantes que reserven sus cupos ahora para iniciar próximamente en los programas que tenemos. Hay unos beneficios buenísimos. Así que nos vemos. Mil gracias por habernos acompañado hoy. De nuevo, muchísimas gracias a ustedes dos. Fue la primera entrevista o pues digamos conferencia de Expo Estudiar Online 2020 versión agosto, así que mil gracias a los dos y mil gracias a todos por haber asistido.
Gracias, Carlos. Bye.
Chao.
Los esperamos en el stand. Que estén muy bien.
Chao. Gracias.